Hello, my most amazing scholars of truth, goodness, and beauty. How are you today? I hope that you have been on the lookout for all things beautiful, because I've been noticing that if you just take a second to look for beauty, it's pretty easy to find. So today I want to focus on the idea of light being beautiful. How does light make things look different? For example, I just opened the shades on my window over here, and I feel like you can probably see that the light is shining on this side of me and the shadows over here on this side of me. And I was just looking for something beautiful in the light, and I found my glass of water, my jar of water, I should say. Do you see anything beautiful in a simple jar of water? I love how when you really look at the light shining on the glass and on the water, you can see some really interesting reflections. And when you move the water around, it just is satisfying. I don't know, it's kind of silly to think that a jar of water might be beautiful, but there's so many interesting lines and shapes and lights and darks, highlights, shiny spots. It's really pretty to look at. I hope that you're finding beauty in the things around you. And if you haven't, take the time for a minute and just look around your room and find something beautiful. Hold it up to the light and notice the shadows and the highlights. We are going to spend another week looking at the artwork of a famous painter named Johannes Vermeer. And I introduced you to him last week. I told you lots of information about him and showed you a book. And we looked specifically at his painting called The Kitchen Maid or The Milkmaid. And today I want to show you a short video that gives you another little overview of his biography, of his life. And it shows you a whole bunch of his beautiful paintings. I want to challenge you as you watch the video to see if you can count on your fingers or maybe make tally marks on a piece of paper. Count how many paintings did he paint that he set up right by a window so that the window would be shining in on the scene. So count how many paintings can you find where Vermeer included a window. All right, let's check it out.
Today we're going to learn about the famous artist Johannes Vermeer. Johannes Vermeer, considered one of the greatest painters of the Dutch Golden Age, was born sometime in or before October of 1632 in the city of Delft in the Netherlands. Compared to other artists of the time, little is known about his life, but what is known is this. The son of an innkeeper, Vermeer was baptized as a Protestant on October 31st, 1632. Shortly before his birth, his father began buying and selling paintings as well, which may have inspired young Vermeer's interest in art. When his father died in 1652, 20-year-old Johannes Vermeer took over his father's art business. He was married soon after to Catharina Bollens. Catharina was a Catholic, and Vermeer converted to Catholicism before their wedding. They went on to have 15 children together, 11 of whom survived their infancy. In December of 1653, Vermeer became a member of the Guild of St. Luke, the local painters' association. No one is sure where he learned to paint, or who might have taught him. It is possible that he taught himself, but by 1657 he had a patron, someone who gave him money so he could spend time creating art. Vermeer was well regarded by the other artists. He was elected head of the Painters Guild at least 4 times, but that respect did not bring him fame. One reason for this was that Vermeer painted slowly, On average, he only completed about 3 paintings a year. Part of this was certainly due to his painstaking attention to detail, but he also used large amounts of unusually expensive paints, and so may not have been able to afford materials at all times. Also, many of his paintings went to his patron instead of being sold to others, which meant that they were not likely to be seen by very many people. In 1672, the year of disaster hit the Netherlands after a French army invaded from the south. There was panicking and destruction. Shops and schools were closed, and very few people were buying art. Vermeer could not sell his own paintings, and he could also not sell the paintings by the other artists that he had. By the summer of 1675, he had to take out a large loan to support his family. The stress of worrying about money was bad for his health, and in December of that same year, Johannes Vermeer died after a very short illness. Despite his beautiful artwork, Vermeer was almost forgotten for 200 years, with some of his paintings lost, in private collections, or mistakenly thought to have been done by other painters. It wasn't until the 1860s that research began to be done about him and a list of his surviving artwork assembled. Today, Vermeer's art is valued for its rich color and realism, and the window it gives us into the day-to-day life of people hundreds of years in the past. I hope you enjoyed learning about the famous artist Johannes Vermeer and seeing some of his beautiful work. Goodbye till next time.
Did you count how many windows you saw in his paintings? When I watched the video, I took a minute and made tally marks every time I saw a window. And I would have run out of fingers because it came up to 13. And that's not even counting the paintings where you could really see an obvious light source, but you didn't actually see the window. It would have been an even bigger number if I had counted those. But I saw 13 with windows. And most of them, the windows were on the left side. Now this painting, I just want to end by showing you this one more time. This is probably Vermeer's most famous painting. It is called Girl with a Pearl Earring, and it is just the kind of famous painting that everybody should know about. So here it is. I want you to notice, of course, the beautiful soft light source, again coming from the left side. So if you look over here, the highlights are going to be on the left side of her face, and the shadows are on the right side. So this is another one of those paintings where you can't see the window in the painting, but you know there's a light source right over here. All right, so notice a few things. The pearl earring right here is, it's got that really bright spot of white on it to make us know that that is a very shiny object. You'll also notice that that is in contrast to one of the darkest spots of the painting, which is the back of her neck over here. The other thing that I think is so interesting about this painting, and maybe one of the reasons why it is Vermeer's most famous, is the look on her face that he captures. It's one of those expressions where you feel like you kind of captured her unaware that someone was looking at her. It's not the typical posing for a picture expression. She kind of glances back at us. You can see her eyes look like they just kind of darted over in our direction. And her lips are just parted slightly, like not quite a smile, but like she's just about to say a thought or have something to react to. And you're like, what is she thinking? What is it? And that is the expression, I think, that really made this famous, is that just that look on her face, like we kind of caught her in a moment where she was a little bit surprised to see us. All right. I hope that you enjoyed looking at Vermeer's beautiful paintings. It is like on my bucket list to be able to go someday and see his paintings for real in a museum because, they are beautiful. So when you're done watching this video, I'm going to need you to respond on Seesaw by answering this question. And you can either answer it with recording your voice or you can just type it in. Here is the question for you. What did Vermeer usually use as a light source in his paintings? In other words, where was that light source coming from? All right, I will check out your answers on Seesaw. Be on the lookout for all things beautiful.